The Jesus Storybook Bible, The Young Hero and the Horrible Giant. God's people had some scary enemies, but the Philistines were the scariest of them all, and now the Philistines had come to fight them. The Philistines had a secret weapon called Goliath. Goliath was a terrifying soldier, and worst of all, a giant. A giant so strong and so tall and so scary that no one had ever been able to fight him and live to tell the tale. So there they were, the Philistines standing on top of one hill and God's people standing on top of the other. And every day Goliath came out and shouted,
"Send your best soldier to fight me. If he wins, we will be your slaves, but if I win, you will be our slaves."
No one spoke and no one moved.
"Chickens, if God can't save you, I'll rip your head off and have you for toast."
His beady, greedy eyes glowered at them hungrily from under his horrible helmet, as if any minute he might just gobble them all up. And then he laughed his terrible laugh.
Ha, 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 ha.
It boomed, echoing horribly around and around the dry, dry valley. Well, Goliath might just as well have been a green, slimy monster with 3 heads, because God's people were froze with fear. Their eyes glazed over. They turned deathly pale. They knew if someone didn't do something quick, if someone didn't save them, but God would do something. He would send someone to save them. Now you remember that David was the young son of Jesse? Well, his brothers were soldiers in the army, and one day, when David brought his brothers their lunches, he saw Goliath, and he saw how scared everyone was. Right here. Don't.
Only a little.
Don't.
Don't be afraid, David said. I'll fight for him. I'll fight him for you.
You're only a little shepherd boy, the king said, and Goliath is a great soldier. How will you fight him?
God help me, David said.
So the king gave David his royal armor to wear, but it was too heavy and too big, and David couldn't even walk.
I won't need this, David said. Instead, David picked up 5 smooth stones from the shoe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
And he took his slingshot and he walked towards Goliath. Step, step, step. And Goliath walked toward David. Thud, thud, thud. You? Goliath peered down at the small boy.
I am little, but God is great.
Goliath laughed an even terribler laugh than usual. With just one swing of his giant sword, Goliath could finish the boy off, but David kept going.
It isn't how strong you are or how many swords and spears you have that will save you. It is God who saves you. This is God's battle, and God always wins his battles.
And so David put a stone in his sling, he swung it around, and let it go. And the little stone flew whiz like a bullet through the air and struck Goliath, thud, right between the eyes. Goliath stopped laughing. He stumbled and staggered and crash fell dead. And when the Philistines saw Goliath was dead, they ran away. But when God's people saw them running away, they cheered. Hooray! God saved his people. And David was a hero. And many years later, God would send his people another young hero to fight for them and to save them. But this hero would fight the greatest battle the world has ever known. And that's the end of our story of David and Goliath.